Hey everyone, my name's 𝗟𝗘𝗧'𝗦. I'm a cartoonist and visual effects artist working on Adventures of SpaceCat comic, and I want to talk about drawing today. So what we've been doing is looking at this How to Draw a Book by Scott Robertson, and we are going through some of the exercises in here, and we're going to talk today about multiplying and dividing rectangles. So what in the world is that all about? Anytime you're drawing anything, you are going to be trying to create forms and objects on the paper. And especially if you're drawing in perspective, you need to be able to understand how some of those forms work. And so being able to divide and multiply and mirror dimensional forms like boxes and squares and things like that is going to be important. And the first step of that is just with the basic rectangle, right? So let's draw a rectangle. So the first thing we want to understand, and this is very basic, so stick with me here, is we're gonna want to cut this. We're gonna want to split this rectangle up equally. I'm gonna try to use a different pen here. Normally I'd stick with the same pen. I'm gonna try some colors just for the video, see how that goes. So here I'm gonna draw one diagonal here, so I'm connecting these points, these diagonal cross points, and I'm going to do the same here. And I'm rotating the paper because it's easier for me to make a straight line. You can look back at previous videos about that. So here we have, I'm not using a ruler today, but of course it'd be more exact if I did. But you know, you don't want to get tied into using a ruler if you don't have to, especially when you ultimately going to end up sketching. So this point here is roughly going to be our center point. This is the center point of this rectangle. And from here, we can determine the midpoints of these lines. So we were to draw a line through that center point on each side. We would now roughly get the midpoints of these, of each edge of this rectangle. All right, and we can actually continue doing that here. If we were to connect these points here, we now have the midpoint of this rectangle here. So what do we care about that? Well, these rules are always true. So even if you have a rectangle in perspective, those same rules apply. So if I were to draw a line across here, that gives me this center point of our rectangle here. And I can do the same. Of course, if we were to take these points back to our vanishing point, we can find that. So for this rectangle here in perspective, this is our vanishing point. Our eye level or horizon line would be about here. And now what we can do is draw a line here through the vanishing point, through our center line. So a little off. Yeah, usually don't like that. This is why we're always practicing making those straight lines, straight confident lines. Just always get better at it. And then here. So now we have our midpoints And so these rules work in perspective. And even though I could have used a ruler and measured halfway points on a regular flat square, in perspective, that doesn't work as well. So it's good to know these rules. Okay, so up next, I want to talk about, we've talked about here dividing up a square. We can use this, now that we know this, we can do the same to multiply a square. So let's take a look at that. So here I'm going to draw another rectangle. Again, I'm just doing this freehand here. And let's say I want to mirror this, copy this, another rectangle over here. What we're going to do here is we're going to find we want to find our center point of this line. So again, I'm going to use my colors here. I'm going to draw this line here and this line here. And now I can get my midpoint here. And now, use a third color here. Let's see what we can do with this. So this is a regular rectangle, these lines are parallel. Shoot these off. You need to see how far does this duplicated rectangle go. So right through here, boom. So now we have duplicated or multiplied that rectangle, and we can do it same way down here. Now that we have this, we can draw this line, and now we can do the same thing to go down. So we know we're going to have this rectangle go down. We can go from, basically this is now a midpoint line for this larger rectangle. So if we take this line through here, I'm going to use this purple again, through here, hits over here, and now we know we've now duplicated this rectangle down, which is pretty cool. And because these rules work here, they also work in perspective. So we have a rectangle in perspective. We're going to want to find that middle point again. So we're going to connect these corners. And now we have a rough idea of our center point. And from here, we can use these midpoints. These will become our midpoints for our next rectangle. So if we were to, we know we want to extend this one out this way and this one out this way, but we really don't know where the next one is going to be. So we can use our method that we used before here. Start one corner and pass through this midpoint. Over here we'll do the same. So now we have a good idea where our next rectangle is going to be. And from here we could keep going. We could even drop down, keep building these rectangles. So These are straight lines that go off from our existing line. We can now join these and follow that line down here like that, and do the same from this side. And now we have a new rectangle. So we can keep building these in all directions. It's pretty cool. But we're gonna use these techniques as we start to build more complicated objects. I know these aren't super flashy. They're not digital. They're just paper and pen. But I hope that that will encourage you that you don't have to have fancy tools to get started in practicing drawing. All right, have fun. See you around. Bye.